You built a business people love, but behind the scenes, it's all on you. Vision to Grow is your space to lead with clarity, hire with purpose, and finally breathe again. I'm Chrissy, your no-fluff leadership expert, here to help you hire better and lead teams with less mess. Hello and welcome to Vision to Grow. I'm Chrissy. I am your hiring, teams, and leadership obsessed business owner, now podcast presenter. I'm blunt as hell. I'm a cheeky Northern English girl. I'm the ultimate English backpacker that never left Australia. I am a single mum. I am a lot of things. But today I want to talk to you all about why most leadership advice doesn't work for founders and what actually does. If we've met before, welcome back. If you're new, this podcast is your corner of the internet where being bold and brilliant as a founder doesn't mean that you're the glue holding your business together with duct tape. Yes, something's changed. The aesthetics changed. You might know me from the podcast previously known as Hiring Advantage. But the thing is, the game in my business has moved on, just like you have last time you listened. Because hiring is just one part of scaling. Now we're talking real leadership, high-performing teams, and building a business that does not collapse without you. I am not here for the fluffy, just delegate more, just hire a VA advice. This is the behind-the-scenes intel you actually need to grow with your sanity intact. So let's do it. In my opinion, this is the reason I really wanted to create this podcast. There is a gap in leadership advice for small business owners. Yes, leadership is everywhere. There's books, there's podcasts, there's TED Talks. We've got the Simon Sinek's, the Brené Browns, the Stephen Bartlett's, and they're saying really good stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love that stuff. I listen to it too. But the thing is, you're not leading a Fortune 500 company. And if you are, awesome. I'm so glad you're listening. Hello. But I don't really think that's you. You're leading a fast growing service-based business with a team of 5, maybe 10, maybe up to 50. You might have a few offshore people. You've probably got subcontractors, casuals, employees. But here's the thing. Even though you've got a team, every decision still is hitting your desk because you're not a corporate executive. You've not got a humongous infrastructure around you with a full HR, sales, marketing, finance division. But the thing is, you're also not a one-woman band anymore because you've evolved. You're in the messy middle. And that's where the advice gap lives. Simon Sinek says, start with why. Awesome. But how do you build a team that actually executes that way? And Brené says, and I've got Brené Brown's book on my desk. She says build trust, and that's great. But what does that look like when you've got a part-time VA and 2 contractors in 3 different time zones? Leadership for founders is different. It's scrappy. It's real. It's messy and brilliant and beautiful and chaotic and strategic all in one time. And that's what we're here for. Because it's a beautiful journey, but you need some support and you need some guidance. So I want to talk to you about where Grow Advantage, which is my business, is going and how what I use with my clients to talk about in this podcast. This podcast is structured around something called the Scalable Success Wheel. It's a fancy name, but it's a really, really simple concept. So my corner of the world scaling, I'm not talking about scaling your sales engine or scaling your funnels. I'm talking really specifically the operations part of your business. And to scale your service-based business, you need to get these 3 things right, and they all interlock. So leadership, you need to lead from the front. You need to define your role. You need to be confident in it. You need to own in it, and you need to have systems for delegation. Otherwise, you're always going to be stuck. You need to hire right. You need to bring the right humans in at the right time. You need to have a process for that. You need to design amazing roles, and then you need to onboard them and induct them well so you can scale. The third pillar, the third part of the wheel is team. So we're talking about retention, we're talking about culture, we're talking about systems so that they can work clearly, and we're talking about communication. You've got those things, you stop being stuck as the person that everyone comes to. You've got a high-performing team. You stop being stuck as a revolving door. We need all of those things to stop you being stuck. So if you're hiring without leading, you're just adding more people to a broken system. If you're leading without a strong culture, people are going to leave. If you're scaling without intention, you're building a monster that you hate. You're building a prison. My first business coach said that to me, Steph Gorton, now Steph Ray. Don't build yourself a prison. We need to scale with intention. The first business I created, Hiring Advantage, like it worked, it was successful, it started to scale, but I didn't actually love it. We need to think about the intention behind that. And this wheel, this strategy, the Scalable Success Wheel, it keeps it on point. It keeps it sustainable, and you can refer back to it at any point. Leadership, hiring, team. Here's the number one mistake founders make. Here it is. The thing nearly every founder I've worked with gets wrong. Hiring before they define their leadership role. You're overwhelmed, so you throw out a job advert. You hire fast, you've got too much on your plate. Then you find them and you throw some Loom videos together and then you expect magic. But guess what? Because they're not set up properly, because you didn't think about you in this process, it comes back to you. You're still the one checking every single detail because you didn't define their role or your role. You didn't think about it with intention. So ask yourself, you as a founder, what do I actually want to do? What do I never ever want to do again? And if I'm leading, am I leading? Or am I still just the most overworked team member in the business? That is not why you started your business. You've just got a really yucky job, probably with a ton of elements you didn't intend to do. Every time you hire, every time you scale your operations, your team, every hire is a chance to reshape your role, not just hand off tasks, but to build a structure in your business that frees you, that gets people more aligned to roles in their business. That's real growth. So I had a client whose VA quit and she knew that she needed support. Instead of us panic hiring, we actually looked at what she needed doing in her business. Like, was the VA that she hired 2 years ago going to cut it? And it wasn't, because she'd moved on. She actually needed two roles. She needed a higher level assistant, so an executive assistant, to work hand in glove with her. She brought that person in, and that instantly freed her up for more strategy, for things she loved. And then the second role she hired was a social media VA. It wasn't one person anymore because the business had grown. Us really digging into that and also looking at how that was going to affect her role, it was a game changer. She had so much freedom. She was happier. She told me she was happy in her marriage. She told me she was a happier mom. Like, that's what we want for you. Hiring is not just about plugging gaps. It's about building around your future CEO self. That is what this podcast is for. So next time someone leaves or you're thinking of growing your team, don't just fill the role, step backwards and ask, what does this business need? What does this business need next? And how can I lead it? So we've touched a bit about some of the elements we're going to talk about, but I really wanted to hone in on your role because this is a podcast for you. We'll talk about all the nitty gritty with hiring. We'll talk about leadership strategies, communication, all of the juicy nitty gritty stuff. But ultimately, I want you to listen to this podcast and think, what does my business need next? And what do I need next? What's going to help make me a better leader, love my job more so I can show up for my people, so I can show up for my clients? Because that's where the magic is. With leadership, with the things that I talk about, you don't need more vague Instagram quotes on leadership. You need specifics. You need someone who's been in the back end of dozens of fast-growing service-based businesses, who knows exactly what works when you're growing a team, when you're scaling fast, and when you're trying not to lose your mind. And that's exactly what Vision to Grow is. This is founder-focused leadership with real systems, real structure, and real strategy you can actually use. No corporate BS, no TED Talks, not yet anyway. No fake CEO vibes, just the stuff that gets you out of the weeds and back into your zone of genius, into your visionary role, because that's what I want for you. So what's coming next? What is coming to Vision to Grow? What we're going to talk about. So I've got some banging podcasts coming up for you. How to design your actual CEO role so you stop being a human help desk in your business. What makes a team actually high performing. How to run interviews that show off your brand and scare off the wrong hires. And the truth about hiring offshore on what's going to make it work. So hit subscribe. Share this with your founder bestie who's scaling and drowning. And if today hit home, screenshot this episode. Tag me. Send it to someone who needs to hear it. You're not just building a business, you're building your vision. I am so excited for you. You don't have to do this alone. Let's grow together. I'm Chrissy. I'm so excited to be back podcasting. I can't wait for you to get to know me more. Let's build some impact. Let's grow visionary.
Audience exclusive.